just need to take that first step.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I've been accepted to South College.
South College can help you succeed doing something you truly love.
For me, that's pre-pharmacy.
At South College, you can chase your dreams, right here in Indianapolis.
South College, where dreams find direction.
You got hurt in a car wreck? Well, let me tell you something. I know a lawyer who knows how to clobber insurance companies.
A lawyer who can help with your medical bills and car repairs? Yeah, I know a guy.
I know a lawyer who will find you all the money you're legally owed.
Here, put this number in your phone. 1-800...
Call Ken.
1-800-CALL-KEN.
Ken Nunn. That's my guy.
That's the lawyer you want.
Call me. It's just that easy.
Over $1 billion collected for our clients. Call 1-800-CALL-KEN.
Why do lawyers hurt in car accidents hire Vaughn Wamsley?
Because they've seen firsthand, I fight to win. Call me.
Vaughn Wamsley, expect more. 800-850-5054.
You're watching Wish TV, Indiana's only statewide TV news network.
It's America's favorite crossword game, People Puzzler. And here's your host, Leah Remini.
Welcome, everyone. It's the crossword game show that combines pop culture and fun facts. Tonight, 3 contestants will compete for the chance to play our fast puzzle bonus game for $10,000. Yeah. So let's say hello to our contestants, Carolyn, Joe, and Michelle. Welcome.
Hi.
Okay, so here's how we play. Players will take turns. Each correct answer is worth 10 points per letter. Players keep control of the board for correct answers, and if a player gets 3 in a row, I'm going to give him 100 bonus points. So let's take a look at the big board and see the 4 categories. They are romance novels, pub games, famous duos, and in the sea. Carolyn, you won the draw backstage, so you get to pick which category.
All right, Leah, let's do in the sea.
Let's do in the sea. Okay, here's the puzzle. I'm going to give you a letter, and then I'm going to give you a clue. Where would you like to start?
Let's go ahead and start with 3 across.
3 across. Okay, here we go. First letter is L, and here's your clue. Women and children, they get in it first.
Life raft.
Is it life raft? Good try, though. Joe, where do you want to go?
3 across.
3 across. We got L, we got an I, and here's your clue. Women and children, get in it first.
Lifeboat.
Is it lifeboat? Good job.
There you go, Joe.
Carolyn, you were close. You were close. Okay, where do you want to go next?
Can I do 6 down?
No. Okay, 6 down. Here we go. Letter T, and here is your clue. What Captain Jack Sparrow is after?
Treasure.
Is it treasure? It is treasure.
Way to go, Joe.
Okay, so this is your 3rd in a row, and if you get it right, I'm going to give you a bonus point. So where would you like to go next?
Let's do 10 across, please.
10 across. We have an E and an M. Here's your clue. It usually follows holy.
Mackerel.
Is it mackerel? Good job. That's your 3rd correct answer in a row. That gives you 100 bonus points, bringing your score to 340. Good job. Okay, Michelle, it's your turn. Where would you like to go?
8 across.
8 across. We have an A and a Q. Here is your clue. Jason Momoa underwater.
Oh, is it Aquaman?
Is it Aquaman? Where would you like to go next?
Let me go 7 down.
7 down. I have an A and an N. And here's your clue. Popeye the Sailor tattoo. Popeye the Sailor tattoo.
What is anchor?
Okay, this ain't Jeopardy.
Oh, sorry.
Michelle, I don't know what show you think you're doing.
Is it anchor?
This is People Puzzler. Did you hear the beginning of the show? People Magazine.
It is. You're absolutely right. My bad, Leah, my bad. So is it anchor?
I don't know. Is it anchor? All right, Michelle. This is your 3rd in a row, which means bonus points are in play. Where would you like to go?
Let me try 2 down.
2 down.
Yeah.
We have an O and a J. Here's your clue. Biblical figure who had whale of a time.
Is it Jonah?
Is it Jonah? Good job. That's your third correct answer in a row. That means you get 100 bonus points, bringing your score to 280. Okay, Carolyn, it's your turn. Where'd you like to go?
Go ahead and do one down.
One down. We've got an I and an F. Here's your clue. You can win one at the carnival. You could win one at the carnival.
Fish?
You always want to win a fish at the carnival.
Yeah.
Is it fish?
Oh.
Good job. Where would you like to go next?
Let's go for 5 across.
5 across. Let's get you a letter. Y. Here we go. Wealthy watercraft.
A yacht.
Everybody knows that.
I mean, come on.
Is it a yacht? Good job. So this is your third in a row, which means bonus points are in play. Where do you want to go?
Let's go ahead and go 4 down.
4 down. We got an A and an S. Here is your clue. Gets between your toes.
And everywhere else. Sand.
Is it sand? Good job. That's your third correct answer in a row. That means you get 100 bonus points, bringing Carolyn's score to 230.
Not bad.
Right? Okay, Joe.
9 across?
9 across? Okay, might as well. Here we go. We have W. Your clue is shore breakers.
Waves.
Is it waves?
Yeah.
Good job. Well, that was the last clue to finish the puzzle. All right, let's check out our scores. We have Carolyn, 230, Joe, 390, and Michelle at 280. It's still anyone's game because the points double in the next round. We're just getting started. More people puzzling.
United Healthcare knows you've got your whole life ahead of you. It's nice to know you're free to focus on what matters with reliable Medicare coverage from United Healthcare.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that sore throat. Vapocool drops? It's sore throat relief with a rush of Vicks Vapors.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks Vapocool drops.
Hey, keep your head in the game, son. The scout from football college is up in the stands.
Maybe you'd rather go to school for insurance.
I didn't raise no insurance, man.
But you did, Dad. Football's your passion, but mine is providing around-the-clock protection to progressive customers who bundle home and auto.
Jamie, we need you out here for football. You're giving up on your dream, James.
No, Dad. I'm giving up on yours.
Oh, James, wait!
After my accident, I called Keller and Keller.
Because a good lawyer shouldn't cost you more. They should get you more.
They got me a lot of money.
Way more than I thought I'd get.
Call 1-800-2-KELLER. Keller and Keller. Right here in Indianapolis.
The future of cool, comfortable sleep is here. Introducing the new Sleep Number Climate Cool Smart Bed. The only smart bed in the world that actively cools and effortlessly adjusts to both of you. Sleep up to 15 degrees cooler on each side. It actively cools by drawing warm air away from your body to keep you cool and comfortable throughout the night. Our smart sleepers get 28 minutes more restful sleep per night. Save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition Smart Bed, plus free home delivery with any base. Shop now at a Sleep Number store near you.
I was in an accident on I-465.
Do you want real results? Don't risk your future.
I called 1-800-2-KELLER.
Keller and Keller.
I got more. Way more than I thought I'd get.
All the money I deserved.
Tell them you mean business.
Welcome back to People Puzzler. Before we get back to the game, let's take a moment to say hi to our players. Carolyn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Fill in this clue. I'd probably win the award for most valuable what?
Say caregiver.
Caregiver. Would you love to?
Take care of everybody else?
Yes.
You know, moms always come last.
Ain't that the truth? Joe, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with ears because I'm a musician, I'm a sound engineer, and a DJ, so anything that makes noise, I'm all about it.
Yes, nice. Okay, so ears, because you're musical.
Yeah.
Yes, that is very important. Okay, Michelle.
I'm a great dancer.
You're a great dancer.
I am. I'm the first one on the dance floor and the last one to leave.
Right.
I'm also a trained dancer. I do ballet, tap, jazz, even kick line, like the Rockettes.
Love.
Yes, yeah. And I also taught tap to children and like Boys and Girls Club and some other organizations to them. So I'm a choreographer because I didn't have to design that. And I came into this world of Trinidadian, so you have to learn how to move your hips and, you know, dance the calypso and play carnival. So all of those things, yeah. And growing up in Queens, that helps.
I was going to say, you're from the East Coast.
Well,
Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great to have you all here. In this round, each letter is worth 20 points, and hidden in each puzzle is a wager word. If you find it, you can bet as many points as you want on that answer, okay? Good luck to all of you, because at the end of this round, we're going to have to say goodbye to the player with the lowest score. Carolyn.
Yep.
You have the lowest score.
Oh.
But that's okay. You can catch up. But you get to pick next category. So where would you like to go?
Sounds good. Let's go ahead and go pub games.
Okay, pub games. Here we go. Here's your puzzle. And where would you like to go first?
Let's go ahead and shoot for 5 across.
Okay, 5 across. Here we go. We have a D up there. Here's your clue. Spotted tile game known as Bones.
Dominoes.
Is it dominoes? Good job. Where do you want to go next?
Let's go for 4 down.
4 down. We have an E and an S. Here's your clue. Rolling aim game with 3D bullseye. Rolling aim game with 3D bullseye. Carolyn, do you want to take a guess, though?
I mean...
You're watching Wish TV, Indiana's only statewide TV news network. This is breaking news.
And we are all over breaking news right now. A verdict in the Delphi murders trial has been reached. That verdict, though, has not yet been announced yet. We'll take you live outside the Carroll County Courthouse now, where Cody Adams is joining us now with the very latest. Cody, what do you know?
Put your touch here.
Cody Fisher, rather.
Cody Fisher out here in front of the Carroll County Courthouse. And I do want to say that we have learned just within the past half hour that a verdict has come down here in the trial. We saw the defense team walk into the courthouse. We know that the families of Abby Williams and Libby German are also here as well, but we have not the media has not been allowed into the courthouse yet. So we still don't know how far away we are from the verdict happening. But what I can tell you is it's been 2,828 days since Abby Williams and Libby German were killed on February 13th, 2017. And it's been 747 days since Richard Allen was arrested on October 26th, 2022. So this verdict has been a long time coming, and the jury has been deliberating since Wednesday. So this is day 4 of deliberations. They got here early. Normally they get here right at 9 a.m. They got here at 8:30 this morning, and they've been deliberating until 1 p.m. But Phil, right now, that's what we know. As soon as our crew is allowed into the courthouse for that verdict, I will let you know. But I do want to step out of the way and give you a scene of kind of what we are seeing here outside of the courthouse. This line has grown over the days since the jury has been deliberating. People have been waiting out here through the night to make sure that they have a spot inside of the room when this verdict is read. Now, we do know that there is also a select group of journalists that have been given a press pass, but Judge Gohl has made sure that they want to allow people from the public access to this verdict as well. So, but we don't know exactly how that will pan out. I know that there's like a list that people have been on because they've been waiting through the night, so we don't know exactly how that will pan out, but what we do know is we are expecting this verdict to come down at any moment. But again, people from the public and reporters and the press have still not been allowed inside of the courthouse here in Carroll County. But Phil, I will keep you posted, and as soon as we know more, I'll let you know.
Well, Cody, I'm assuming those folks who are gathered outside of the courthouse there, they know that a verdict has been reached, right?
Yes, as soon as we kind of got notified that a verdict was reached, it kind of started to flow through the line and through word of mouth, which is why you see everybody kind of hold on. There is an officer talking to the crowd. So he is saying, if you do not have a press pass, so yes, okay, so now this is the moment we've been waiting for. Everybody with a press pass, including my colleague, Kyla Russell, is now being let into the courthouse. This is kind of the order of operations of what we expected. Anybody with a press pass goes in first, and then it's opened up to people in the public. Now, it will be interesting to see if the list and the line is honored here. Give me a second. I'm a little bit further away. I'm going to be quiet so I can see if I can hear what they're trying to say. They're too far away. I can't. I'm not able to hear, but we do know that this is how it will pan out. So we are just moments away now. They will go through security. We are not allowed to have a cell phone inside of the courtroom, so Kyla will have to either A, put her phone into a box, or leave it outside of the courtroom, or bring it down to us before she goes inside. But it would appear as if she's going to take her phone inside. And then once they get inside the courtroom, members of the public will be allowed inside. And then after that, this hearing, where we will find out what the jury has decided, will begin.
And just a reminder for the folks who may be just tuning in now, Cody, a verdict has been reached, and they're trying to figure out when they're going to announce that. And any indication as to when that will happen? Well, I know you mentioned it at the top, but for maybe folks who are just tuning in right now.
There really is no indication exactly how long we are away from when we'll find out what that verdict is, but this is the most action that we've seen basically over the span of 4 days. On Saturday, the jury wanted to look at some more evidence, so the defense team and Richard Allen were here because they had to be inside the courtroom when the jury was looking over that evidence again. But since then, this is the most action that we've seen out here, as the defense team is here, the prosecution is here, the family of Abby and Libby are here. So this is the moment, but I can't give you a specific time, Phil, of when we will know.
Cody, you know, during your reporting on Friday, you spoke to a woman who she was paying her daughter to sit there so this way she could be in the courtroom every single day. Take us through that, walk us through that interview, and why did she feel so passionate about it, and why she felt like she needed to be there, and specifically, as she mentioned in that story that you had today, when that verdict is going to be read.
Yeah, Phil, so the woman who I interviewed is from Flora, which, as anybody who's familiar with Carroll County, is very close by to Delphi. And so she had been following the case since the very beginning, from when Abby and Libby went missing. And once the arrests were made, once the arrest of Richard Allen was made, she's been following it from the very beginning. She felt it was necessary to be here. And she believes that Richard Allen is guilty, and she's here so she can witness the justice, in her words, handed down in this case. And she was adamant about being in the courtroom to hear the evidence for herself. She was adamant about being in the courtroom to hear the verdict for herself, which is why she was paying her daughter $500 a day to stand in line basically through the night so that she could have a space in the courtroom. She had said that she had been to 10 days of the trial, and if you add that up, that's $5,000 over 10 days that she was willing to spend, granted, to her daughter, so that she would have a spot in the courtroom.
Yeah, we're looking at the law enforcement now. Speak to that a little bit, Cody. What's it been like as far as law enforcement goes? I would imagine pretty busy today, more so than the past few, but from everything that we've seen, it seems like there have been a lot of law enforcement personnel.
Yeah, a lot of law enforcement personnel. It's been a heavy police presence, Phil, for the entire time that we've been out here. That really hasn't changed. They have their system that has worked over the course of almost a month now. That has kept the proceedings secure and safe, but it's a collaborative effort. You have officers from Delphi, you've got state police, you've got sheriff deputies out here as well, so it's been a collaborative effort, and I mean, they've multiple times throughout the day, if anybody's kind of coming or going, Richard Allen or any of the jurors coming or going from the courthouse, there's a drone in the air so that they can have a bird's eye view to make sure that everybody involved is safe. But now, you know, the police would appear right now are going to make sure that the public's access to this hearing will be orderly and it will go off without hitch, because this line has caused some tension out here because people want to be inside, and so I've seen arguments. Sheriff deputies have had to come up and break up those arguments of people in line, and again, it's just because people so desperately want to be one of the select few that are able to be inside the courtroom when this verdict is read.
In your conversations with some of these people who have been waiting on these lines, and I know you spoke to the woman who you talked to on Friday, and you said that she felt pretty strongly that he was guilty. What have those conversations been like? Is it kind of a mixed bag where you have one side that believes he's guilty and the other side that doesn't believe it?
Yeah, Phil, I mean, complete mixed bag. I mean, you have people, I mean, there's bloggers and YouTubers that, you know, throughout the proceedings have been named in court filings because of how much attention this case has gotten. But I mean, there's people, everybody has an opinion out here. Some people think that that Richard Allen is guilty. Other people think that he is innocent, but there's also people who believe that he's guilty, but that the prosecution didn't do enough to prove that he's guilty. And the more that this dragged on, the more people started to get a sense that maybe this would end with a hung jury, maybe it would end in a not guilty verdict because of the length of time of the deliberations. But yes, everybody out here has an opinion about what we're about to find out.
And to your point there, this is a verdict, so this is not a hung jury, just to be clear. So it's either guilty or not guilty, and we're going to hear it at some point, whether it be today or tomorrow. It seems like it might be today. What have people who have been there, what have they been saying about the process, the whole, from the very beginning, from the police investigation to the legal process to the judge and how that's played out? I would assume there were also strong feelings about those aspects of this as well.
Yes. People have been a little bit more cagey, holding those opinions closer to the chest. I would say they're not really quite as we see right now live. People from the public now being allowed inside, and judging by who I see is in the first position, they are honoring the list, if you will, that people have kind of so strongly tried to make sure that they were on in the order from which they've been sitting in line. So it does appear to be civil at this point, and it does appear as if, and that is the max right there. That is the only amount of people that they will be letting in from the public to listen to this verdict. But Phil, to answer your question, the people who I have spoken with about kind of this whole process, some people have strong opinions about how the investigation panned out, and how, in their opinion, police might not have done the best job in the initial investigation, which is why there's so much controversy about whether or not Richard Allen is guilty because of the amount of evidence that police were able to uncover during the initial part of the investigation. But again, people have been a little less willing to kind of give those opinions. But that's just one person who did tell me, or did reveal that to me. That's what their opinion was.
I understand that people have been holding signs, Cody. What specifically are those? What do those signs say?
Yeah, so Kyle, if we can kind of point down here to the signs that are on the ledge here. So the signs, again, it just kind of goes along with what people have been saying about the case. It's a mixed bag. Some signs are calling for justice for Abby and Libby. Other signs are supporting Richard Allen. There's even a sign that says, "We love you, Rick," which a person who I interviewed 2 days ago, said that was surprising. They are, a YouTuber, blogger that they go around the country and go into high-profile cases, and she says this is the first time that, in her experience, that she's seen signs saying that they love a suspected and accused killer. So it is a complete mixed bag, just kind of with everybody's opinions. That's exactly what we're getting from the signs as well. Now, people haven't really been holding them up just yet that I can see, but as you can see, they are weighted down with rocks. So I would imagine at some point when the verdict is read, and we know that, and people are coming out, they will grab those signs to let their voices be heard and their opinions be heard about what they think of the verdict.
Is that the biggest crowd you've seen so far, Cody?
By far, Phil. This is definitely the biggest crowd. It waned here and there, starting on really kind of Wednesday afternoon. I don't think anybody really anticipated there being a quick verdict, so the line and the crowd on Wednesday was probably the smallest, and then it grew on Thursday, grew on Friday, and then it grew on Saturday as well, because people were off of work, and so more people came down. And this is the largest crowd as well, because it's Veterans Day. I was preparing my story just in case there was not a verdict today. And I actually interviewed a man who is an Army veteran and served 16 years in the military, and he decided to spend his Veterans Day here because he has been following the case and felt it was important to be here for the verdict.
Cody, we also have a camera there. I know you don't have a monitor out there, so I'll tell you what it is. It's a camera, our camera outside of where they're going to have press conferences later. Speak to that a little bit. Do we know how long after the verdict is read that we'll be hearing from officials and the lawyers from each side?
We don't, but I would take a gander that it also kind of depends on what the verdict is. If the verdict is guilty, I could see the prosecution and the defense and the families of Abby and Libby coming out maybe rather quickly. If it's not guilty, I would imagine that process might take a little bit longer time, and the order might be switched up. The defense might come out first. But yes, we are anticipating that there will be a press conference so that finally we can speak with the attorneys and the families involved, because up until this point, Phil, as you know, and everybody at home knows, everybody even remotely related to this case is under a gag order by the court, so they're not allowed to talk, and if they did talk, they would face legal ramifications. So we are looking forward to that as well, but again, don't know the specific timing of that. But as the last people from the public go in now to the Carroll County Courthouse, it would appear as if we are getting closer and closer to finding out what this verdict is.
And then it looked like they kind of walked back to the line. So do we know, did they make it inside the courthouse?
Yes, the people who were on the list, they made it into the courthouse. So now everybody who is going to be allowed into the room when the verdict is read is in the courthouse now. So we don't know exactly, they have to go up some stairs, they have to get inside, the jury has to be brought in, Richard Allen has to be brought in, the judge has to bring the hearing into session, and then if I had to guess, I would maybe think 15 to 20 minutes from now, within that window, I think that we will know if Richard Allen is guilty or innocent.
Have you seen him? Is he there, Cody, or is he still being brought to the courthouse?
Phil, they do a really good job of kind of blocking off the doorway where people are going in and out. I haven't specifically seen him, but I would imagine that he is here. If the defense and the families are here and inside the courthouse, it is a very, very good chance. I mean, I would be surprised if he isn't. How about that?
There you go. Speak to the reporting process a little bit, Cody, because extracting information has been extremely difficult. Talk to that a little bit.
Phil, the only way that we've really been able to gather information about this case is through the court filings. And I think both sides have been, without physically speaking to us, they're speaking to us through their filings. So we knew kind of what the strategies going into the trial would be. Obviously, the defense had a lot of their strategy blocked by Judge Gohl. They wanted to bring certain topics, specifically Odinism, and into the trial. Judge Gohl blocked them really at every turn because, in her eyes, they didn't do enough to prove that the killings were ritualistic in nature. So it has been difficult, and especially with so many different people with opinions. You have, internet sleuths, you've got bloggers, you've got YouTubers, all kind of muddying the waters a little bit, and trying to do their best to, almost, it seems as if those people were trying to solve the murders because they felt like they knew more than the people that were directly involved with who had that information. So it has been a difficult trial to report on, and I know, my colleague Kyla Russell, the actual just physical reporting on the trial itself has been incredibly difficult on her because it's the pool for the press has been on a rotation. So she was not guaranteed a spot inside the courtroom for every day of testimony. So because of that, she also had to navigate the line system, which means that she was getting up here at a very early time. So it has been a very difficult time reporting. But as soon as we know, Phil, what that verdict is, you at home will be the first one to know.
Cody Fisher live outside of the Carroll County Courthouse. Cody, thank you so much. Again, a verdict has been reached in the Delphi murders trial. We will have that verdict both on air and online as soon as it is reached and as soon as it is announced right here on Wish TV. Stick with us. We'll be here throughout the day.
Joining Corbin are siblings Jordan and Asia. Very happy to be on a show where he's not been fired yet. It's Orlando Jones.
Board game, or it's a video game, or we go out bowling, or whatever it is. We're very competitive. Actually, we wrote our own vows, and in my vows, I had said to her, I vow to never lose on purpose, so that way when you beat me, which she does all the time, you know that you truly beat me.
Oh my gosh, God, that's very cool.
Yeah.
And Orlando, I gotta say, the more you play this game, because you started off kind of sweet and, I'm going to try. You are so competitive now. You are like, I don't even know what the word losing means to you. That's going to be hard for you to hear that word.
It means tears, Meredith. It means lots of tears. It means I can't go home. It means I can't sleep at night. So just that you're going, yeah! You're going, yeah! Okay, I'm done.
On that note, it's going to be such a pleasant show today. We've got siblings taking on cousins. One of these teams will get a chance to play for $10,000. Let's get started. Corbin and Orlando, you're up. Let's take a look at your list. You have 45 seconds to get your teammates to guess all 5 using as few words as possible. I'm setting the opening bid at 21 words. Corbin, start us off.
Meredith, I think that we can do this in 19 words.
That is a very good start.
I think we can do 16.
Okay.
I'm going to go 15.
I think I can do 14.
I'd like to see you do it.
Okay. Get ready. 14 words, 45 seconds on the clock. Your time starts now.
Pass. Airline blank claim.
Baggage claim.
Toronto.
Canada. Vancouver.
Movie.
Movie star. Movie.
I honestly don't know how long this cut-in is going to go. It might be up and down.
So, all right, we got power. I do have another mic. Do you think that would be beneficial?
I'll just go back and forth.
If they're okay with that, we'll just do it that way.
Well, actually, it might not be bad.
To have another mic?
Just have it ready, just in case. And Kyle. And when we see people starting to come out, just be rolling.
Okay.
Be rolling.
Yep. Hey, Mitch, what's up?
Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out my left and right.
Hey,
cool.
guys.
Anya, cool.
Okay, I literally locked eyes with you. I was like, hey, what's up?
Are you okay?
Sorry,
So they tossed me in the air at the wedding, and then I came down and hit my foot. So.
Jesus Christ.
It was fun. No, it was a blast.
I remember I saw you. I was like, what happened to you?
Yeah. Yeah. So we just cut in. And
Sorry about that, man.
no problem. So, are you guys gonna talk to us, or like, did you?
Brady said, can you talk to... I hung up on Brady. Should I call him back?
No, it's all good. That plan had not been communicated to me.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Wait, should I call him back? He said there were 2 cameras. Maybe he wants us to go to the other one.
Yeah, so there's this one and then that one over by Kevin.
Is Brady over there?
No, Brady's not here. Brady's in Indianapolis. It's just us.
I'm saying we found Cody.
Here's the second mic.
I don't know.
What are they gonna do? They have to send someone running out?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if...
Yeah, it should be back on.
Hey, no, I was just so the Murder Sheet podcast people came over, but I guess they were on the phone with Brady. But so what's the plan with them?
I don't know if this is gonna work.
Okay. If we could ask Brady, that would be awesome. Okay. I think after we talk to Kyla, then we'll bring them in to give analysis.
People are saying, but now I'm scared to go charge my phone. Yeah. But I would ask around to people.
Hey, Kevin, Anya, so I think what we're going to do is when Kyla comes out and she yells us the version, so I'm going to talk about that. She's going to come down, and then I'll basically kind of interview her about what happened in there, the energy, the vibes, what they said.
We can
and
just
then,
wander around.
well, no, but then I'll bring you guys in directly after that so that we can, because I was like, whatever it is, what happened in the courtroom impacted the verdict? Like when did you get a sense that it was going to go that way or the other?
Are we going to be able to do that, or
do you guys need to do your own thing?
What do you think?
You might want to just be inflexible. Sorry.
Oh no worries. Hey, that's totally. Oh,
be careful. We really appreciate you. You guys have done such a good job with this freaking case. Like seriously. I'm glad you guys got into it.
Same. Same.
I know everyone was super salty about it.
You guys just give up everything.
We gave up today because there's like YouTubers coming in and just spinning shit. So like I want to be there for sessions, but when it comes to this, you can't spin a verdict.
No.
I don't care.
No.
People want to be tearing each other's hair out to get in for like 2 seconds of gratification.
Exactly.
I don't give a
Exactly.
shit. Anyways, good luck. We might
Thank
swing
you.
back for. But
No worries.
don't worry
If you
about
do,
it.
that's awesome.
It's a fusion for you. Just because that light, I don't know if it's going to work. It's like a sailboat. I think it's quite good. It's too windy. They are streaming this shot, by the way. There's no sound. They took the sound off.
Okay.
You are. Just love you so much. There's Lafayette. He's so nice. Sorry, dear. You met my sister, right? Yep. I gave her big hugs the other day. Today's the day.
That's better.
She lives down the road.
I met you the other day.
Just to give you some diffusion.
Yes.
But I don't think it's going to work.
Does it need to be like there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is that the wind is moving this. See that?
Yeah.
It just looks.
Are you gonna
Yeah, can we take it?
No, I'll take it.
Okay. Oh, actually, he's right here.
Hello.
I bought this banner.
Oh, I love it. You know what? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know what? I'll hold that thing all day long.
Whenever they come out.
Look at this, everybody.
You know what I mean? Whenever they
Too windy for it.
come out.
Yep.
I got a couple more.
This is awesome. Thank you.
I'll hold it. I'll hold it up there for the family. Have you guys see that banner?
I need at least one or two. I think 2 people will be fine.
I would definitely hold it for the family.
Thank you. And then I got. If you guys got the picture, I think everybody got it.
I can't see it. Look at my letter. When he comes back, but then that's the way he wants it.
Yep.
Mocha. So I went and got it from my mocha. And like 5 minutes later, this one, everything started happening. So.
Was that Anne-Marie? That's what I thought. She said from there.
Yeah, it's whenever. Yeah, if you guys tap dance a little bit more, whenever you want. Tilt down a little bit, yeah. For as long as it takes, whatever you. Yeah, yeah. If Phil just wants to keep asking questions, we'll go for it. How long has it been since we were last on? Okay. Anya and Kevin are still roaming. They're not around me. They're not around me right now. Give me 2 seconds. I have to go get them. Or if you can go grab. Yeah.
I got a mic for them too.
Sounds good. Cool. Yes, perfect. If you guys will stand, actually, off to the side, right there. Yeah, perfect. And
Here
then,
is a mic for you.
yeah, and then you guys just kind of hold it off in the middle.
How's that?
Sounds great. Yeah. And just start on me, and then we'll widen it. Perfect.
Still in commercial.
Okay. If you could give me like a 30 seconds, that'd be great.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Cool, we got you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Move close to me so you can get the mic action.
Working hard.
You guys can hold it. You can hold it like down.
More like that. Got it.
In
Sorry.
fact, I might,
Rookie mistake.
and then I might. kinda go back and
Okay.
forth.
Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that sounds good.
I trust you more
Yeah.
than I do myself here.
Gotcha.
They're open on Sunday, so we always go to the store.
Every time you look over, I'm like,
I know, I'm like, please don't do this.
what's going on?
Like the best break there too with hash browns. And then I like the orange toast.
Guys, stop opening the door.
Actually, that. Because I'm just waiting for.
And then lunch, I like the chicken
I wonder if that ISP officer is. If he's like on the phone with somebody who's like is a corner. Yeah.
I feel like that might be it. So if you need to dump us and stuff, like, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. Literally,
Yeah.
we will get out of your hair. So will not be offended. He likes his little wife.
I haven't heard anything for a little bit. I'm gonna put my phone on low battery mode, especially if we're gonna. I can hear you. No, Kyla's not out of the courtroom yet.
She doesn't have
That's the Murder Sheet podcast.
Yeah, yeah, I'm on 2232.
Yeah, he's on 2232. I'm on 2233.
I had to end my show crash.
All right, we're going.
Stand by.
So Anya, I'll start with you. The first question was be like, what do you think it's going to be?
Yes.
On Thursday afternoon. The trial started October 14th. Libby German and Abby Williams went missing on February 13th, 2017. Their bodies were found the next day, on the 15th. They released photos of a man known as Bridge Guy during the trial. Police arrested Richard Allen in October of 2022. He's been in jail ever since. We'll take you live outside the Carroll County Courthouse now to give you an idea of what it's like out there. Cody Fisher joining us once again. Cody, what is it like since the last time we spoke?
Well, Phil, there is a lot of anticipation once everybody that is allowed into the courthouse went inside. It's been about 15 to 20 minutes at this point, so we are anticipating the verdict at any moment, but we don't know exactly how long this court hearing is going to take. But to bring in some analysis, we have the hosts of the Murder Sheet podcast, Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee. How do you guys think this pans out?
It's a great question. It's so hard to get in the minds of a jury. Are these 12 people seeing a mentally ill man who may have confessed a lot of times because he was psychotic, or are they seeing a killer? That being said, personally, my anticipation is this would be a guilty verdict.
Now, Kevin, does it matter how long these deliberations have gone on? This is day 4. We're approaching 17 hours or so.
Obviously, everybody involved would like to see a quick verdict, but the fact of the matter is this was a long trial with a lot of expert testimony that is very, very complicated. So it's really not too surprising that this jury wanted to take the time to go through all of that and make sure they got it right.
Now, on Saturday, the jury wanted to look at more evidence. What is your take on what that means for today's verdict?
I think when you're seeing a jury request pieces of evidence to review again, in this case videos involving law enforcement, speaking with Richard Allen, I think you can look into that in a number of ways, but I think generally it's like they want to kind of get that again because in this case, did they want to see like how he was denying committing the crimes? Did they want to hear his voice again? It can kind of go a number of ways.
Now, a lot of people here in the line, everybody's got an opinion, but they were interpreting the long deliberation as this could end up as a hung jury. That doesn't appear to be the case. So did the length of the deliberation, was it more or less likely that it would be a not guilty verdict versus a guilty verdict based on the length of the deliberation?
Well, for me, the real telltale sign of a hung jury is if the jury sends a message to the judge saying, we're having trouble, or if they're asking the judge a lot of questions, indicating that there was some disagreement. And none of that happened. So again, I think the real reason this one took so long was because there was just so much material to go through, and frankly, it was complicated material.
Now, you guys were in the courtroom for the trial. I mean, you navigated the line, you got in there. Where do you think the turning point was, and when did you start to see jurors start to be convinced one way or another?
I don't know. This was quite a stony-faced jury. I will say this. I felt like they asked hard questions of both sides. They were not letting these prosecutors or these defense attorneys off the hook without asking a lot of very pointed, very interesting questions, and that just showed me that they were paying attention. So no matter which way they go, I think we can feel assured that this jury was definitely on it.
Were they skeptical of either side and some of the evidence from the prosecution or the defense?
I felt that their questions indicated they were actually at times skeptical of both sides. They were really wanting to examine this and not take anything for granted just because an attorney was saying it.
Is there one particular piece of evidence, one particular storyline, narrative, timeline, if you will, from either the prosecution or the defense that you think this case hinges on?
I think personally that the van that was brought out in one of Richard Allen's detailed confessions was a problem for him. That was my big takeaway.
And sorry, my photographer Kevin Stinson just mentioned that he thinks he's seeing that the jury is leaving.
Whoa.
So what does that mean?
That would seem to indicate that the hearing is over and that a verdict has been delivered, and I would imagine we would find out what that verdict is very soon.
Very soon. So I'm keeping an eye on the door. Anya, Kevin, thank you so much. And Phil, was there any questions that you had for Kevin or Anya as we wait for Kyla to come out of the front doors of the Carroll County Courthouse?
Yeah, just one question that I had was that, I mean, this is a verdict, either guilty or not guilty. No hung jury, to be clear.
Right, so Phil wants to, just to be clear, this is going to be a verdict, guilty or not guilty. There's not a possibility that this could be a hung jury.
That's my understanding. We were all told that there was a verdict, which means guilty or not guilty.
And give me 1 second here.
May have just been the alternates.
Okay, so we don't know, but the jury vans did leave, but we're not clear exactly who was in those vans. But as I very peek over the door, so this level of anticipation, this excitement, it's been building for close to 4 days. How have you seen the mood amongst the crowd shift? Because I have, I've seen it shift, but what have you guys seen as people who were in the trial every single day?
There's been a lot of negativity, I would say, and then people who are here for the right reasons, who are just curious or want to know more. So you kind of see both sides of it. I think that's kind of true crime in general these days. You get some conflicts, you get some people yelling at each other, but you also get people who are just interested in learning about the process or want to see justice or want to support their opinions. So I think, it's good and bad.
And Kevin, with the people holding signs, both in support of Richard Allen and in support of Abby and Libby, how do you think that will impact the family of Abby and Libby, the families of Abby and Libby, when they come out? The signs that they see, how do you think that those will impact them?
I don't want to speak for the families, but I can't imagine it would be anything other than devastating for them to walk out the door of that courtroom in the courthouse and see people holding up signs saying things like, "We love Richard Allen." And Richard Allen, at the very least, was a man who was plausibly charged and perhaps convicted with the murder of those two girls.
How frustrated have you guys been with the lack of access to this trial? I mean, you guys were on the front lines of it. You guys have been covering this case from the very beginning, but you weren't given, access in terms as like journalists versus having to navigate it from members of the public.
Yeah, it's been immensely frustrating, and certainly we're biased because we didn't get press passes. But even when we're looking beyond our own experiences, I feel like the media could have been given more access in the form of maybe a media room where you would have reporters able to come and go. I just feel like some of the public access issues could have been handled better for everyone. And if it was just us negatively affected, I might be willing to say, well, we have bad luck. But I think the fact that a lot of reporters have voiced frustration, I think the fact that a lot of members of the public have also been kind of shut out of this process, especially people from Delphi. I mean, they've been having to fight this line too. I just think this might be a lesson for us in Indiana about how to perhaps better handle the public access of a high-profile case like this.
Yeah, because obviously it's Monday morning quarterback, and hindsight's 2020. But do you think that we have this level of crowd and people staying up outside all night if cameras were just allowed in the courtroom?
I can't imagine there would be this level of a crowd and this much of a circus-like atmosphere, frankly, because people could just sit at home and watch it on their televisions, or reporters could listen to audio feeds in a press room. I think it would really have calmed the atmosphere considerably.
And so I just got another piece of information from my photographer, Kevin Stinson, who is keeping an eye on the jury. He thinks that there might be some more movement over there. So where do you think we go from here once we have the verdict?
Well, if it's a guilty verdict, then he will most certainly appeal that, and we might see appellate attorneys come on and sort of try to get him a new trial. If it's not guilty, then I think it's over to a certain extent, because, I mean, the state of Indiana said this is the guy, and if they didn't get him, then they're not going to just, slap together a case against someone else just to make it look good.
Have you guys ever been to a trial with this many twists, this many turns, this amount of vitriol on both sides, that people are so staunchly convinced that they know what the verdict will be?
Absolutely not. This story is like a 19th century Russian novel or a finely plotted Agatha Christie story. There are just so many twists and turns and so many people convinced that they and they alone know what really happened. And as part of that, they become convinced that if you disagree with them, you must be evil, you must have moral failings. There's so much bitterness and anger around this case.
Now, people will have made a lot about the fact that Judge Gold did not allow Odinism into the trial, not once, not a single iota. She even blocked it when they tried to bring it in during the trial. At the end of the day, does that impact what we're about to find out?
I think the defense would argue that it would, and they're certainly going to probably appeal based on that in part. Having seen the Odinism case kind of come together at the 3-day mini trial, I personally feel like it was a loser as far as cases go. It really had a lot of holes in it, and I don't feel like they met the nexus that is required to bring someone in. And so personally, I don't feel like it impacted, but I'm sure the defense will argue that.
All right, Kevin. Anya, thank you so much. And when the verdict comes down, we might talk to you again shortly. Phil, I'll send it back to you there in the studio.
We would love to hear from them again later on after the verdict is read. Cody Fisher on the case for us tonight. Cody, very good reporting. Thank you so much. We'll talk with you again shortly. Just to reset, if you're just joining us now, a verdict has been reached in the Delphi murders trial. Okay, so this has been going on this is day 22 of all of this. They've been deliberating for 4 days now. Mario Maslamani is a noted defense attorney. You know him well from our All Indiana Politics show. He joins us now. He's been with us for a couple of days talking about the case. Mario, a verdict, so not a hung jury. So it's either going to be a not guilty or a guilty, right?
That's correct. So, there was thought process with how long this case was deliberating, that it might be a hung jury. That's at least taken off the table. Now we have to listen to the jury to figure out, is it going to be a guilty or not guilty? As the previous people spoke, if he's found not guilty, then the case is pretty much dead. Even if they find evidence that it's somebody else, that person's defense counsel is going to be able to claim, listen, you charged somebody else before, they were found not guilty. This is, almost impossible to find somebody else guilty beyond a reasonable doubt without a confession, without DNA.
So if my understanding, and you dipped out a little bit there, Mario, if he's found not guilty, this could mean no justice for these families.
Unfortunately, yes. If he's found not guilty, there's a good possibility. And remember, Phil, even if he's found not guilty, that doesn't mean he didn't do it, right? If he's found not guilty, that just means that the jury, with the evidence provided by the prosecution, weren't able to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. So either he didn't do it, or the jury didn't have enough evidence to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's one of the greatest things about this country. The way our criminal justice system is put in place, we rather have one guilty person or one innocent person be free than be in jail than 1,000 guilty men be roaming the streets. So, our criminal justice system is such that we are focused on making sure that we don't accidentally put innocent people in jail. And so even if he is guilty, if they weren't able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, the jury has to find him not guilty.
Mario, walk us through what the process is going to be like inside the courtroom now that the verdict has been reached.
Now that the verdict's been reached, what usually happens is the jury will come sit at the jury stand, and then the bailiff will come up with a piece of paper and hand that to the judge, and then the judge will ask the jury foreman if they have reached a verdict, and then the jury foreman will stand up and say, "Yes, Your Honor," and then they will go through each count.
Oh, you know what, Mario, we got to cut you off here. Go ahead, Cody. What happened? So I hear some cheering.
Yeah. Kyle, you just came out. What's the verdict?
Richard Allen is found guilty on all 4 counts of murder in the deaths nearly 8 years after Abby Williams and Libby German died near the Monon High Bridge in February of 2017. Inside the courthouse, it was both the families seemed relieved, about 25 of them for each family. Doug Carter held the hand of Becky Patty, and the Allen family sobbed as they heard. Richard Allen remained completely unfazed looking, and we now know that the sentencing will come December 20th.
What was the most emotional part, Kyla, in the courtroom? Was it coming from Abby and Libby's family? Was it, did Richard Allen's family cry? What was the most emotional part?
I would say the most emotional part was when that first count was read. Judge Gold read that. And in the second part was when they took a poll of all 12 jurors, each one of them saying, yes, that was their verdict. On all 4 counts, Richard Allen was guilty.
What were the looks on the faces of the jurors as that verdict was read?
For the most part, they seemed not shocked. They seemed relieved for the most part. I saw one kind of sigh into his hands. Of course, they deliberated for 19 hours. They've been there for days now and have been sequestered from their families, jobs, homes for a month.
And I believe, so were you surprised when you came out and there was the cheer?
I will say there's kind of been an interesting dynamic out here I've been here in Carroll County at the Delphi, at the Carroll County Courthouse for many, many days. And sometimes, there were people that were Richard Allen supporters. There were people that were really there to remember the girls. And for the most part, it seemed split down the line. So there were higher cheers than I realized.
Yeah, Cody, Kyla, what was it like? Ask Kyla. I don't know if she has an earpiece in IFB. Ask her what it was like inside the courtroom. Were there cheers inside the courtroom? What was that like? Walk us through that a little bit more if she can.
Yeah, Phil wants to know, were there cheers inside of the courtroom?
The courtroom remained relatively silent, honestly. I mean, after that 4th count was read, we did hear sobs from Richard Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, and his mom, Janice. For the most part, other than that, it was quiet. I did see Becky Patty kind of sigh in relief when that 3rd count was read, and especially when that 4th count was read.
Now, Kyla, just a couple of minutes ago, we saw the jury vans leave, and we also saw the vehicle that Richard Allen had been taken in throughout this entire trial also leave. So did he leave the courtroom at a certain point along with the jury?
He left right after the jury. So the jury left, and then Richard Allen himself left. They let the Allen family leave, and then finally they let Abby Williams and Libby German's family leave.
Now, do we have a sense of when we might hear from either the prosecution or the defense? Because we do have a place set up for a press conference. Do we have an idea of when that might happen?
I will say they didn't indicate when they might speak. I'm sure they have many things to say, both of them. My hunch is that the prosecution will be out here momentarily. They did seem excited. I saw Nick McLeland kind of fall into his hands. It's been 8 years since the girls died, and something that he has personally made his mission here as a prosecutor. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to touch on something.
One more question, Cody. Then I want to bring Mario back in. Okay. So one more question with Kyla. I'll bring Mario back in. You guys sit tight. Go ahead. One more question to Kyla.
Yeah, so Kyla, we have one more question. The sighing, and you've mentioned that a couple of times. Can you get a sense that they are just tired. Everybody associated with this case is just tired, and they're glad it's over.
Yes, Cody, here's the biggest thing on my notes, and you'll see it kind of underlined and circled. Exasperated is the word, exhausted. Judge Gohl said many times, you all must be exhausted. She said that even right before and right after she read the verdict, and it's certainly something that I think is a theme for both the defense and the prosecution, and of course, the jury.
All right, Kyla, thank you so much. Phil, we'll send it back to you there in the studio.
Okay, hey guys, sit tight. We'll get back to you momentarily, okay? We'll bring Mario Maslamani back in. Again, a noted defense attorney. He's been with us throughout the trial. You know him well from our All Indiana Politics show, but this is his bread and butter. He knows this stuff very well. Mario, are you surprised by this guilty verdict?
I think with the fact that he confessed numerous times, I think the jury deliberated for a long time. That shows that they took this case extremely seriously. But the confession was probably what did it in for the defense. Before the confession, I think that there was a good chance that they could find that there was a reasonable doubt. But with the confession, along with all the other evidence that the state provided, I think that the jury came to the logical conclusion that Richard Allen was guilty of all counts.
Okay, so what happens now, Mario?
So what the judge will do is she will set what's called a sentencing date. And by setting that sentencing date, she will order what's called a pre-sentence investigation, a PSI. So you'll probably hear about a PSI over the next couple of days because in the span of the next month, the probation office will interview Richard Allen, will also collect information on his education, any sort of substance abuse, his family background, any sort of criminal history, and compile a packet for the judge to learn as much as she can about Richard Allen prior to her sentencing him. She's got a range in which she can sentence him, and so what the purpose of this PSI or the pre-sentence investigation will be allowing the judge a better opportunity to understand Richard Allen and to determine what type of sentence to be given. So during that 30 to 45 days, so usually a judge will ask, are you willing to waive the 30 days? So a defendant has the ability in Indiana to be sentenced within 30 days. And usually a defendant will waive that 30 days. So that way they can try and compile information, that being witnesses, Richard Allen's wife, daughter, family members, possibly priest or pastor, compile that information for that sentencing date. So that way they can present the best face of Richard Allen. Also, the prosecution now has that time in which they will get statements from the family, potentially have family members testify as to the loss of those two girls, what that meant to their lives, what that meant to the community, and they will present that to the judge also. So the sentencing date is going to be, and the sentencing hearing is going to be extremely emotional from both sides, because both sides will be trying to pull on the heartstrings of the judge in saying, Judge, this individual should be sentenced to a harsh penalty, the harshest possible. That's what the state is going to be presenting, and their witnesses. And the defense is going to be presenting witnesses saying, listen, Judge, do not sentence him. Corrections, that being work release, home detention. So that's going to be a very emotional date.
We lost you there for a moment, Mario. I'm going to jump back to the trial itself, and I apologize for jumping back and forth here, but obviously more information coming in as we speak here. So quickly, when you were watching this unfold, was there anything that said to you, okay, that's probably going to do it? That piece of evidence or whatever it was that the prosecution brought up, that might change the outcome of this trial?
You know, it was going to be the weight of the confessions, to be honest with you. That's what I wanted to really see as they were battling experts regarding Richard Allen's mental health, if he was mentally stable at the time he was giving these confessions, and what the jury and how the jury reacted to that. A lot of the evidence outside of that wasn't really connecting him other than that unspent bullet. And so the only thing really tying him to that scene, other than the fact that he had admitted to being at the trail that day, was his confession and the unspent bullet. So how the jury reacted to that and what weight the jury put on those two things was going to determine if they were going to find him guilty or not guilty.
From a defense perspective, how difficult was it to probably defend this suspect?
Extremely difficult. You know, not only did they have a whole community in outrage, and the amount of media that was involved in this case, you know, as I was following this trial, there was national news picking up this case. And so to be able to find a jury that was unbiased, untainted, didn't have a lot of information, and then understanding that they had, a jury that was going to be sequestered. Additionally, it seemed, you know, one of the toughest things as a defense attorney is not being able to point to a plausible another outcome. And in this case, the two defense attorneys were trying to blame the murders of these two girls on Odinism, on the rituals and the two groups that were located close by. They were not able to get that evidence in. So I think that the defense did a great job. The state did a good job also, that being the prosecutor's office. I think what the defense was trying to do in this case was set up an appeal. And in every instance where they were filing motions, where they were objecting to evidence coming in or trying to bring in evidence that the judge was objecting to, they were laying basically a case for an appellate court to overturn this conviction and potentially give themselves an opportunity for a new trial. I think that was one of the key issues and the key themes in this case, that the defense was trying to lay out their basically issues that they were going to appeal at a later date.
Excellent perspective. Mario, sit tight if you don't mind. We'd like to come back to you here throughout the afternoon as well as things are unfolding. Let's go back now, though, to our crew that's out there, Cody Fisher and Kyla Russell. Cody, what is it like out there now?
I would say that actually the energy is starting to die down in a lot of ways. People who have been out here in the line for weeks at this point are actually starting to leave. Now we do know that there's basically going to be a press conference on the opposite side of the courthouse from where we are right now. But Kyla, am I right where the energy around here is starting now that they've had that release and excitement and the cheering when you came out and said that they was guilty? Now it's almost like people are going right about their day.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, these people, for the most part, have been here for weeks. We started jury selection October 14th, and a lot of them have been there since then. I think as those words came out of my mouth, they came down the stairs, many of them felt, okay, our job here is done, and we're free to leave. So I would say many of them seem to be relieved. Exhausted and relieved would be the two words I would put to that.
Now, there's a very I think a very poignant sign, but I don't think that we can see it unless Kyra would take the camera off the tripod. But it just says, "Today is the day. Justice for Abby and Libby. Bless a stranger with a random act of kindness. Tell them it's in honor of Abby and Libby. Sign and leave a kind word for families. Anna and Becky will both receive one." And it's got a picture of the girls there. And I know we can't exactly see it, but Kyle was showing you the back of that. And presumably this was for the families to see as they came out of the courthouse. So that's the type of vibe that's out here right now, Phil.
Any update on when we'll be hearing from anyone in regards to the press conference, guys?
I will say, I see several people starting to gather. They certainly didn't indicate. I talked to both Anna Williams before she walked in. She knew that she had gotten a call that there was a verdict. She said they would speak shortly after. I'm not entirely sure what shortly after means. Of course, this is a day that they've been waiting for nearly 8 years. Becky Patty also said that they would talk, did not give an indication on exactly when. But as soon as they kind of come down those stairs, right now they're embracing each other. We'll bring you that.
Kyla, tell us about your experience inside the courtroom. I think you can hear me now. So you've been in there every single day for 4 weeks. Tell us what that's been like. Obviously, you've done a fantastic job reporting on this. Tell us what that has been like for you personally.
Yeah, I would say something like this is, you understand the gravity of it. You understand that 2 girls' lives were lost far too soon. And that was something that was really present and palpable in the courtroom every single day, whether it be via the families or via just the people that came, the sheer amount of people that came out to support the families. So I would say that has been what's been most present and something that I will take away most. And then secondly, I mean, just the complexity of this case. There are so many names and ideas and years in the making that have brought us to this point, and that was something that was really present throughout the 17, 18 days of testimony that we heard, and it was something that I certainly will take away. And then finally, I mean, I will say, for the most part, I think exhaustion is the word, not only for, you know, the people, the reporters that were there, but also for those families, and something that they have been exasperated waiting on every single day. I remember the first day that the trial started, I counted the amount of days that it had been since February 13th of 2017, and it was insurmountable. So certainly that is at the forefront of my mind and of many others.
What about just to
Go ahead,
add
Cody.
to that total now? It's been 2,828 days since the girls were murdered. So to Kyla's point, it's been a very long time, and it's been 747 days since Richard Allen was arrested. So justice was a long time coming for these families.
Yeah. Kyla, what about the jury? Speak to that a little bit. Obviously, their emotions have, it's been a roller coaster for them. What has it been like watching them? Did you get any indication that this was happening? Was there ever any point where we were like, okay, and I asked this to Mario, okay, this is probably going to change the outcome of the trial?
Yes, certainly. I mean, that was one of the most fascinating parts of this experience, at least for me personally, was watching the jury interact. And honestly, I mean, the jury was able to ask questions throughout the trial, and so those were some of the most fascinating points, where they would ask 15 questions for one person that testified, and then 4 questions for another person that testified. And you know, that certainly gave an indication to me as a reporter as to kind of where they were headed. A lot of days it was, wow, they have an increasing amount of doubt here. And then in the other days, I watched as specifically 2 of the men, one of them that ended up becoming that 4-person here for the jury, he seemed completely convinced as he listened to the defense testimony and shaked his head. And so that was one of the most fascinating parts there, was that they could ask questions, and also they weren't really shy with their interaction. They knew that we were watching them.
Right.
And so to see that kind of ebb and flow throughout this month, yeah.
What about the jury's interaction with the judge? Was there ever a point where the judge, because you mentioned they were asking questions, was there ever a point where the judge said, nope, can't ask that? What was that interaction like?
So for the most part, one thing that I noted every single morning in my notes is that Judge Gold would get up, she would put the court back in session, and she was extremely bright with them, and she seemed very aware that this was a heavy case, and wanted them to certainly have bandwidth to kind of process all of those things. So she was pleasant with them most of those interactions, but I will say I counted as those jury questions were sent in. They would write them on a piece of paper and then send them in to the judge, and then the judge would kind of get together with both attorneys from both sides and decide what would be asked. And I saw there were some moments where there certainly was bickering between the 2 sides about what questions would be asked. And also, I mean, I counted how many questions, you know, went in and then how many questions were asked, and sometimes that was different. So that indicates to me that there certainly were times where she said, you cannot ask that.
Right. One more question for you, Kyla. We'll get back to you in a little while, but here's one more before I go back to Mario. What was the interaction like between Francis Gull, the judge, and the defense team? Because obviously that's been very divisive over the past year or so.
I would describe it as a couple that has been married for a very long time and just trying to get along. And that was kind of how I described it throughout, specifically Brad Rosie and Judge Gold. They kind of had this very cordial interaction, but certainly not nicer than they had to be.
Judge Gull has not lifted the gag order, so we're not going to be able to make any type of public statement at this point. We'll be looking forward to having something scheduled a month from now following sentencing. So with that, that's all that we're going to be able to say at this time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, well, obviously things are moving as we speak here. So just to give you an update, the judge has not lifted the gag order. So that was Indiana State Police saying that, hey, we can't say anything right now until the judge lifts this gag order. So I want to go back to you, Kyla. We were sorry to cut you off there. Are you surprised that she has not lifted the gag order?
I am slightly surprised. I will say I spoke to the families before. Becky Patty seemed to indicate that she likely thought that that gag order would be lifted. So that's something that I am surprised to hear. But of course, we're awaiting that sentencing. That will be December 20th at 9 a.m. And that may take 2 days. And so they've kind of indicated that that will be both Friday and Saturday of that time frame. Perhaps she's waiting closer to then. Perhaps not. Of course, we've spoken many times about how the defense has really been working here to set up for an appeal. So there are many factors that could have led to her to that decision.
Okay, Kyla, thank you so much. Very good job. Let's bring Mario back in. Mario, is Mario still with us? Okay, so Mario, are you surprised that she did not lift that gag order?
I'm not surprised. I think that she was concerned that this is going to be a circus. She wants to at least get this sentencing done with and be respectful to the family, and also make sure that all the proper procedures are concluded. The main thing now is for both the defense and for the prosecution to get their witnesses and their evidence ready for that sentencing. And so, they've got to figure out who will make the most emotional impact and help in convincing the judge to give either a lighter sentence or a harsher sentence. And so as the judge has a range, Brad Rosie and, Andrew Baldwin are going to be looking to see what can we do to try and get this judge to give, Richard Allen a lower sentence or a lesser sentence, or a sentence that is split between jail, community corrections, and probation. And then the prosecution is going to want to really tug on the judge's heartstrings. And so he is going to want to call on the families of the two victims, talk about the impact of losing their daughters, talk about the impact of how this has had not on themselves, but also on their families. And so I think this is going to be an extremely emotional sentencing on both sides, as both sides try to tug on the judge's heartstrings, as she has a wide range in which to sentence Richard Allen. And so, to answer your question, the judge having this gag order still in place, I think, has made the right call, because she does not want, the community basically to get fired up in regards to hearing some of the evidence that they might not have heard through this trial. And so she's wanting to keep still a strict decorum, a strict, focus on the rules of evidence. And, she's got to determine what are the aggravators, what are the mitigators in a case like this, when determining what type of sentence she's going to
So for our viewers' sake, Mario, our viewers' sake, if they're just tuning in and they're just getting this news, with this gag order still in place, does that mean we will not be hearing from the family or anybody involved from a legal perspective?
No, we will not be. We will not hear anything until after the sentencing. And that's, and that I think is appropriate, because, as a prosecutor, you really don't want your witnesses that are going to be testifying in a sentencing to be talking to the media or talking to the community about this, because then their credibility could be attacked later if they're saying different things. Additionally, I think that this is smart for the defense side too, because, I'm assuming Richard Allen's wife is going to testify. I'm assuming his daughter will also make a statement or testify, including other family members. And, I think that it's better when, as a defense attorney, I don't want my witnesses, especially for a sentencing, I don't want them talking to the media or talking to the community ahead of time, because I am getting their statements ready, because that's going to have the most impact to the judge. Because at this point, we're done with the 12 jurors. Both the state and the defense are done with the 12 jurors. The only person that matters now is the judge in rendering this sentence. And so they want to make sure that they are picking the right people that they think that will impact the judge in showing that there's either more aggravators or more mitigators when rendering a sentence.
I have a minute and a half left, Mario, and then I'll let you go. I wanted to ask you this before, and then some news happened while we were talking. Were you surprised at how many times the defense tried to go after the Odinism aspect of this?
Not at all. You know, as a defense attorney, one of the most important things in a trial is your theme and theory of the case. And if you're able to point the finger at somebody else as a possible suspect that could have committed this crime, I mean, that's huge. That is extremely important, because then you can have a jury start thinking that it's not this person that's sitting in this courtroom with them, but it could be somebody else. And for the defense not to have been able to raise a possible another suspect or a possible another theory of the case as to how these two girls were killed, I think really hurt them. You know, I don't know, because, you know, this was kept very secret as it pertains to what evidence the defense produced to the judge as it pertains to this Odinism theory, and if it was a credible theory. And so we won't know that till the appeal, you know, when the appellate attorneys take over. And that's going to be one of the big issues that they raise to a court of appeal.
You've been great with us throughout the trial. We look forward to leaning on you throughout the afternoon and throughout the rest of it as well. Mario, good to see you. Thank you so much. Much more on this breaking news in the Delphi murders case coming up tonight at 5 and 6.
Sessions and one